Alright, bear with me as I get this set up. Let's see here. Alright, now I just gotta double check from the live point of view to see where I'm aligned. Okay, a little too close for comfort. That's alright. Let's balance her out. Is that good? Doesn't seem straight. Want it to be as perfect as possible. Okay, well, that's good. So what this video is about is essentially my process of ascension. So what essentially I'm doing right now is I'm recording myself going through my natural journey, the one that's naturally ordained for me. And I think that it'd be pretty dang exciting for a lot of people out there to be really listening in on what's happening and like what's going on, to view how someone goes about something like this. And maybe it helps you, maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, then that's fine. All that I ask is for us to share the space of sacred harmony. So ultimately, if you're not getting a positive effect out of this video, then I believe that it'd be best to do yourself a favor and essentially leave. Not leaving any negativity here. It means like not disliking, not hating, no putting any things in the comments or whatnot, but just like, yeah. Anyways, that's just a permission slip for myself in order to better create a space of comfort, because what I'm beginning to learn in this process of ascension essentially is that in every individual moment we are harmoniously creating that moment through our beliefs and through our perceptions and through our lens, and coupled with our vibrational frequency as well. And what I've come to learn is that merely by setting intention, conscious intention, you are literally affecting the quantum field outside of yourself right now. So what my intention is that, well, right now I'm recording myself, right? And my intention is to reach anyone through what's called this quantum field that, I guess I already explained it. So that's another part of my process, simplifying myself down, because I've had the past tendency of loving over complexity, and I'm really beginning to learn that as you ascend, as you raise your vibrational frequency, things don't get more complicated. They actually get a lot more cohesive, a lot more simple, a lot more unified, because I mean, when you're raising in density, that's what's actually happening. You know, all the fragmentation starts becoming cohesive, and then you become one. You're so like, you got your fragmented personality, which can become one into your physical persona or your ego self, right? And then that's cohesive you from the physical mind's perspective. And then there's another stage where you go physical mind perspective, which is a fragment of essentially what's called your soul or your spirit. When you merge with soul or spirit, that's a fragmented version of what's called the oversoul. And your oversoul, if you're listening to this video, most likely, if you were born on Earth, your oversoul is a fragment, or it's playing a role in what's called the Earth oversoul. So like the Earth's, exactly what it sounds like, the oversoul of the Earth. So that's like what goes on in this earthly relative plane. And then you got all these other steps, and there's really an infinite amount in between Earth's oversoul and the very top, which you could call the prime oversoul, if you will. That's how I simplify it the best, and that's what I can do to understand it from physical mind's perspective. And then after prime oversoul, you got the all that is, which is everything within existence. I think there's a key to tapping into the prime oversoul, because the prime oversoul would be the first reflection or the first manifestation of all that is, because let's not get into that, it's really not relevant at this moment in time. However, entering this moment right now, let's talk about why I began to film this video. As I've been going through the experience, through the process of gradual awakening, if you will, I've been becoming increasingly aware of me, first of all, invoking this upon myself, which is a reminder to a lot of us when we're experiencing a lot of the things that we essentially don't want to experience, or we don't really understand why we're experiencing. It's actually because we're calling forth from our conscious mind that we want a essentially higher plane of existence, and things happen differently in these higher planes of existence. And when our physical mind, or physical persona, begins to hold on to old paradigms, old ways of living, then that's where that cognitive dissonance comes in, because you're calling forth a new reality, and now you're stretching and you're shifting to this new reality. But if you're holding on to the old reality, that's where pain, struggle, strife, and all that stuff comes from, which is also interesting to note, because for me recently, and this has been gradually happening more and more so throughout the past few years, but I guess I'm happy that it is happening. And what I'm referring to when I say what's happening is that every moment that I spend not acting from a place of pure alignment, I begin to feel very, very, very uneasy, very fragmented again, very not cohesive, very, I experience symptoms like depression, misery, all these old paradigms for me, things that I've been shifting out of, and which I'm beginning to realize, like, ultimately when you invoke this higher essence, this higher way of living, when you genuinely pursue the experience of true ascension, you can really, it becomes almost a risk to yourself to not act on your intuitive guidance, because it's like you're calling forth for this guidance, you're receiving guidance, and you're not acting on the guidance, except for you are sincere about wanting to embody this higher essence. Your vibrational frequency is shifted already, and now you're already in this higher realm, except for when you refuse to act from that higher realm. In essence, like for me personally, that's like acting on my highest excitement, acting on my creative expression, acting from an inspired place, essentially, because inspired just means in spirit, acting from a spirited place, from spirit, from your non-physical true essence, right? Because who we are in this physical reality is just our soul that has gone to sleep in spirit and waking up in physical reality, going through an experience of forgetting that it was the soul, which is an unbound expression of all that is, which is essentially a god. It's the funniest, like, cosmic joke to, like, all of existence for us, is like realizing, or like just the sole fact that we are actually all gods. However, like, we've played a game with ourselves to essentially trick ourselves into believing that we're not God by placing a spell of amnesia upon ourselves. Interesting. If this concept sounds foreign to you, that's alright, because don't worry, I mean, we're all waking up. Let's just keep it simple, right? And I really have felt that this is my calling to really share my insight and share my experiences with the world. And I've received a ton of guidance from Spirit, God, the heavens, the celestial realm, whatever you want to call it, the higher realm, the non-physical ethereal realms. I've really been receiving guidance to really share my truth. And for me, that has been a challenging process, or challenging experience that I've invoked process in, because I guess process is just the experience of you really saying, I'm not ready to move forward, so let me experience the process. Funny. However, this is me stepping forward and really saying through my actions as a statement to existence that, hey, I'm ready to really embody what my purpose here is. which for me, and I know for a lot of people here, can be pretty dang scary. Especially when you have a lot of insight into knowing what your purpose is here. Because for a lot of us that have gained that clarity and that insight to know why we're here, it's scary because it's pretty far out there. It's pretty not ordained to this reality. It's not normal from the collective consciousness's perspective, because a lot of us that have been here in this life, a lot of us that are here right now are actually, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say this, and when I speak on this, I do not want to create a sense of separation, because I know that's a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with here, and I know this is what we need to transcend. However, for all of those that are viewing this through a lens of separation, I want you to know that that's not my true, sincere intention. Because my intention is to really speak a message of saying we're all united, we're all one, no one's different than anyone else, we're all equal in the eyes of all that is. And anything that I can do, anything that I can experience, you can experience and you can do as well as anyone else. And we're all interconnected through this web, which can be called the quantum field. That's how most modern scientists refer to it as. So, yeah, we can call it that. You can call it, I mean, if you have like a non-scientific background and you're referring to the same thing, many people call it the Akash, the infinite storehouse of everything. The ether, the Akash is pretty close to like the Akashic library, the Akashic records, there we go. Infinite library, infinite intelligence, God. We have all these different ways of pointing at this. However, it's really important to not like get focused on the pointer versus what the pointer is pointing at, which is what the word is pointing towards, which is this non-physical realm that we're all connected to. And in this non-physical realm, like, everything just is, and everything is just one. So like, let's say me in this quantum realm, me in this physical realm can access this quantum realm that we all have the natural connection to. However, we've just forgotten how to use our power, essentially, with intent, because ultimately at the end of the day, it was like at one point in time we were gods. We got bored, to my understanding, and we just decided to go to sleep and say, hey, let's play a game. Maybe it's not because we were bored, but maybe because like heaven was so like natural for us and so like normal for us that we wanted something exciting, we wanted something new, we wanted something different. So we said, hey, let's enter a state of amnesia, put some blinds on, let's put on a cloak, put on, you know, a dress suit, and let's play this acting game of pretending that we're someone, a limited version of ourselves, because it's fun in the eyes of all that is, which is interesting, because for a lot of us here that are going through the experience, at times it can be not very fun being a place of not having absolute clarity, not understanding our true origins, not understanding our purpose, not understanding the mechanisms of creation, not understanding how to intuitively use our own power. It's like, I've noticed that with a lot of people, like are here and there's like there's no handbook, and we're just kind of here to wing it, and I guess that's kind of fun. However, for all of us here that are looking for just oneness, lucidity, clarity, and want to embody a higher truth, our higher true natural truth, which if you're watching this video up until this point, you're probably one of those people. If you're denying it, like, I guess that's something that you need to discern whether or not it's true for you or not. However, let me just state this. Everything in our lives we manifest, whether we're conscious of it or not. So if you're watching this video at this moment in time, you have manifested this for yourself. You and your higher self have co-created this for yourself to experience. So the question for you is, why are you manifesting this? That's something that you need to discover on your own. And be careful with this one, because just from my personal experience, there's this collective theme that we go through, which is a theme of essentially like invalidating life, as in like, if this is happening, then it doesn't mean anything, right? It just goes right over our head. However, when we really begin to embody a greater sense of emotional maturity, life maturity, just maturity in general, as a sovereign being, we begin to realize that, okay, we do manifest everything, okay, and this comes from a place of ultimately becoming responsible for your life. So I'd say start there. When you become responsible for you, completely transparently so, that will be the first starting block in which will unveil you being responsible for things outside of you. You first, everything outside of you next. Because from the true realization of being absolutely responsible for everything that's happening within your being, then you begin to realize that, wow, I'm actually manifesting all of this. Because really, everything when your outer physical reality is just you. Spoiler alert, I guess I should have said that before, but if you're hearing this now, you're hearing it for a reason, because ultimately the higher truth behind everything is that everything in each and every moment you're manifesting for a reason. You just need to understand what you're manifesting and why you're manifesting it, and understanding the core root of that. So you could brush it off and say, yeah, this is woo-woo, that's BS, or you could say, this is a opportunity for me, for blank. For me, how I would perceive this would be an opportunity for me to gain a higher sense of clarity, higher sense of wisdom, higher sense of cohesiveness, so that I can create a greater experience for myself, so I can love myself better, so I can appreciate myself better. Because I know that when I appreciate myself better and I love myself more holistically, and I embody that expression, allow myself to express myself from that sovereign space, then that'll perpetuate itself into all of my life. The more you love yourself sincerely, the more you express that into your reality, and then the more you love other people, and the more that you love objects, and the more that you love your life, the more that you love physical reality, because the ultimate realization behind all of it is, if you're seeking a true sense of empowerment, is that you are physical reality. Ultimately, from the higher density points of view, you are physical reality. You're literally creating everything in this very moment. Physical reality is just light. It's referred to as what's called the prime radiant, which is essentially an infinite particle. We sum it down for rudimentary sake, for simplicity's sake. It's a euphemism, of course. However, like, sum it down to there being one particle in existence. That could be the one. You could also refer to this as the Big Bang, but there was the one. And then the one decided to express itself. And the one has infinite capabilities, because it's infinity. It has infinite potential. So with its infinite potential, it can move, that means at infinite speeds, in this infinite space, in this infinite void. So this one, moving at infinite speeds, can move so fast that it appears right next to itself, viewing itself, which serves as the first reflection, essentially, within existence. That's the one becoming aware of itself. None of that is really important right now with what I'm referring to, or where I'm going with this. But the point is that physical reality is literally constructed from this one. It's like, it moves so freaking fast so many times and overlaps the same place so many times that it creates things like subatomic particles, clouds, turning into electrons, neutrons, protons, atoms, which creates matter, which materializes itself into our physical reality. That's how we perceive physical objects, like my hand, which is really just ultimately we've understand from observation. So you can't really get around this. It's science, right? This is just true science. It's the truth of existence, because what is truth? Observed experience. Okay, that's all we really have to base our reality off of. So from our perspective, this is physical, right? You're not going to move through it. But from a more conscious point of view, you begin to realize that, wait a minute, my hand is just made out of a bunch of atoms that are all rearranged within a certain vibrational frequency, a certain signature that creates the illusion of my hand. So my hand's literally composed of billions of atoms that are moving around, creating the illusion of solidity. And those atoms live within this space of essentially 99.99% empty space. And when you look at inside of an atom, that's 99% empty space as well. So it's really like, truly looking at it's nothing, but it's everything at the same time, which is pretty interesting. It's the illusion of physical reality. It's just light reflected by us, for us, in order to pursue this game, to pursue a theme that we choose to explore here, free from any other experiences out in existence. It's like we, in limited soul, concentrate ourselves and say, hey, I just want to focus on this little realm right here. And in this realm, we have a box, we play this game, all other souls can come in here, we all play this game together, and now the game right now, in this moment in time, which is 2017, October 2nd, Monday, the game that we're playing, essentially, it's been referred to as the Golden Age, which is this age of awakening, the age of ultimate transformation, where we ultimately finally awaken from our millennias of slumber, essentially, being unconscious, being unaware that we are gods, and awakening to our true power. Now, you don't have to be scared about me saying that we're gods, although I understand, respect yourself with your belief systems, knowing that however you're feeling that for a reason. And let me be the one to inform you that you cannot have a feeling unless you believe something to be true, because emotions are a product of a core belief. And when you allow yourself to identify the core belief, then you begin to, I guess, let me back up. The purpose in which you would decide to uncover a core belief is because if it was creating a negative experience within your body, a negative expression, essentially, which ultimately just means that it's a belief that's out of alignment with your true harmonious self. That means that belief used to serve you at one moment in time. However, now where you're going and how you've transformed, that belief no longer serves you. And that's essentially an anchor point that used to serve as a foundation for your life, but now has become inefficient with where you're going. Imagine it's like you essentially wanting to run forward in your life, or fly forward, or fly upwards, or whatever it is, and you have a ball and chain stuck to your leg. That's that core belief that's binding you down. And a really great tool in order to look at that belief is by saying, hey, well, first of all, being grateful. Gratitude, I don't think I really need to explain to you guys what gratitude is, because I'm pretty sure you understand the concept of it, and how it's a very high vibration, how it grounds you in the moment, and how it really allows you to really work with what's here and appreciate your existence and appreciate what's in the moment, not fight against the flow. It allows, gratitude is ultimately the ultimate catalyst for alchemy, transcendence, transformation. So saying, okay, thank you for this belief, thank you for showing me that I'm holding on to something that is out of line with my true self. And it's important to be light about this and play with it, because the more you play, the more light you are, and the more light you are, the more malleable physical reality becomes, because now you're not operating from such a dense state of being, you're operating from a more expanded state of being. It's like, instead of being the ice, being the water, and then instead of being the water, being the steam. Ultimately, water being able to move through like a chain link fence, and then steam being able to move much faster through many other objects. You get the analogy. So yeah, uncovering. The funny thing is that uncovering core beliefs is a really interesting experience, because, obviously if it's coming up in your life, respect it and understand that it's happening. However, where I am in my process right now is realizing that I don't want to ultimately go through the tedious process of having to uncover each and every belief that holds me back, and then moving forward in my life, and then realizing that another core belief, and then moving forward, and then removing that, and then moving forward, and then finding another one. It's just very, very tedious. My intention right now is to be able to create a sovereign space for myself, an energetic bubble, essentially, in which I can manifest from. And from that bubble, I seek to create an experience in which my belief systems, all my negative beliefs, all beliefs that ultimately restrict me from being who I truly want to be, doing what I want to do, experiencing what I want to experience, are automatically transcended by another part of my consciousness. Now, this has been a challenge for me. I know this is a challenge for a lot of us because we play the fine line of balancing wisdom with being able to sincerely assess whether or not we want to do this or whether or not we're being lazy or if this is appropriate for us or not. However, I just want you to let you know that if you have already created that momentum for yourself and it's coming from a sincerely, genuinely positive place that allows you to feel good, like in the present moment, not as in this manifestation will make me feel happy, but if this is truly an expression of my excitement, this is truly an expression of my intuitive guidance, my creative expression, then I continue to commend you on following your path, because that's ultimately the only thing that we're really supposed to be doing here, is just allowing ourselves to be our true selves. So for a lot of us, when we go through this process, is really discerning, am I just being lazy or am I being efficient? Again, that just comes back to the whole, how are you viewing your actions? How are you judging yourself? How are you perceiving yourself? If you're perceiving yourself in a depreciative way, which I have in the past, transparently so, however, I'm thankful for that experience, because if it wasn't for the past, I wouldn't have been able to work with anything. I wouldn't have been able to transcend to the state that I'm in now. So thank you. However, just saying, okay, I don't want to view myself negatively anymore. I've already committed to doing that. I've already committed to viewing myself with pure positivity. That means allowing my creative expression to expand itself and then not adulterated, not rationalized with it, because creative expression is wild. It's your God force. Like, the more, like, when I say adulterating, I just mean it's really just all of the rationalization of why you shouldn't do it, which is also just a negative perception. It's just kind of tricky because the negative perception tricks itself, it cloaks itself under a place of maturity, a place of ultimately false wisdom. That's a tricky one, because it's negativity or fear disguised as practicality, as safety. Respect your belief systems. Just say that. Respect your belief systems. Keep it simple. For me, I have like a churn in my solar plexus right now, which I guess to my understanding, means that I'm entering, the solar plexus to my understanding is a place of empowerment, an empowerment chakra. So it's like, am I viewing myself in an empowering way? How am I perceiving my creative expression? So what I'm getting at is that I'm perceiving my creative expression as something negative, as blah, 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 blah. I'm just literally buying into the negative perception. I'm buying all of the fruits that it's having to offer. It's ultimately just a con artist, right? It's a guy that's trying to sell you a loaf of bread for $50 and he's trying to convince you how great this is. That's what negativity does. They sell you on the product that they're trying to sell. Negativity. I've fully assessed that I don't have any space within my being for negativity, because I'm on a journey of ascension. I'm on a journey of true enlightenment. I'm on a journey of true wisdom, true oneness, essentially. True empowerment. And true empowerment means letting go of negativity and understanding that negativity really doesn't serve you. Because that's the truth of it. Even though it may come up in many ways, as in the negativity will try to trick you into telling you that it is worth it, this does serve you in all these ways, because that's just what it does. That's a challenging one for us. We really just gotta let go. And it's challenging for a lot of us to let go because it's what we're used to, man. It's negativity is just like we as a collective, look at the logistics of it. We've gone through amnesia for millions of years, not millions, millennia, so thousands of years, and yeah. So this is the time and age, man. We got to transcend this, and we got to do it. And I'm really beginning to realize that we got to do it together, because we're much stronger in numbers. We help each other left and right. For beings that stand up and beings that reach out and beings that are willing to act on that intuitive guidance, that higher guidance, really begin to see this greater picture of unity and ascension and empowerment. It's this age of empowerment. It's this age of freedom expression. this age of creative expression, all that fun stuff. Let's go back to the core of what I was speaking about, which is essentially about creating an experience for ourselves in which we can transcend the process of consciously needing to alter our core beliefs to our preference, just going through that conscious process, by using the wisdom that expresses itself from the prime oversoul, in which, from the eyes of all that is, everything is an equal expression within the eyes of infinity. So the process in which you go through unveiling all of your conscious beliefs or unconscious beliefs, consciously working through all of those in order to ascend yourself, transcend all of these, to embody a greater state of being and to embody a greater life experience, is its own respective process in of itself. It's its own experience within the eyes of creation. That's equal. Put that right here. What's also equal in the eyes of creation is not going through that and just saying, you know what, I sincerely don't want to experience this. Let's just skip it. Let's just allow for it to automatically be manifested, to automatically be done. I sincerely don't want to go through that experience. I understand that transcending negative belief systems is a requirement of allowing myself to ascend to higher realms. However, I don't want to consciously do that. So I want to use my consciousness in order to allow another portion of my consciousness to work through all of this. So imagine parallel reality version of yourself. Now this is when you're ascending into higher densities, because now you're viewing yourself from a perspective in which you're seeing other parallel reality versions of yourself. So I guess it depends on what level you're looking at it at. However, what I'm looking at right now is other versions of your soul. So saying, hey, as an expression of my soul, I want to use another portion of my soul in order to work through all of this. So imagine parallel reality version of yourself, which is you, which is ultimately there's an infinite amount of parallel reality versions of yourself. In order to get a greater picture of what's actually happening here, you are just one. Right now you are one version of yourself, and you're constantly shifting through parallel realities at billions of times per second, which the click of, or the tick of the physical reality clock, or the rate of shifting, would be summed down to a Planck's length, which is like a ridiculously small number. If you want to look into it more, you can do that by all means, if you feel inspired to, if you feel called to. I'm not going to expand on it right now because it's going to slow me down with where I really want to go. And I already feel slow. However, I really want to sincerely work through this and not brush anything over, so just being mindful with my energetic state. So it's like you taking the responsibility, taking the embodiment of yourself, and understanding that you are just a parallel reality expression of your greater self, which could be the soul, the oversoul, the prime oversoul, however you want to see it, or just all that is if you want to go straight to the core. However, it's like essentially saying, I'm gonna use my power, which is derived from my connection to source, my connection to all that is. So it's like a really clear way of saying, I'm cutting through all of the bullshit. I'm cutting through all of the indoctrinated stuffs about like what God is, what this higher realm is, what this person thinks is good for me, what this person thinks is good for me, what my gods say over here, what my gods say over there. And really saying, this is what I sincerely want. This is me embodying my truth. This is me being conscious. This is me awakening to my truth and consciously choosing what I prefer, because I know that I'm unconditionally supported in who I am and who I choose to be. And if I choose to be a conscious creator or conscious co-creator, because higher self, lower self. There's a relationship here that you create for yourself, which is going to be a whole nother topic. If you want me to talk about that more, I could talk about another video. Just drop a comment down below or something. However, it's essentially dedicating another portion of your consciousness to essentially do work for you in this life. It's essentially you're empowering yourself to energetically connect to another version of yourself and work together with that version of yourself in order to transcend. And you can do this through the conduit of imagination. This is how you communicate with the higher mind. This is how you communicate through the higher realms, through the conduit of imagination. It's pretty interesting. So let's try an example. Here's you. This is yourself. You realize that you're just a parallel reality. You're a parallel reality. You're in a parallel reality. And then there's other parallel realities out there within the vastness of infinity. And the parallel reality in which you tune to is based off of where you allow your imagination to go. And wherever you allow your imagination to go, you begin to manifest within this realm. It's essentially, your imagination is your conduit in which you communicate with your higher mind, and then you guys work out whatever is best for you. And so let's imagine a version of ourselves that already has completed all of his training, or her training, in respects. And when I say training, I mean going through all of that karma, all of that negativity, all of that, just like your pure self. Essentially, you're just like putting yourself, what we're doing mechanically speaking is adjusting our antenna to what we're attuning ourselves to. Because we're already manifesting who we believe we are to be in the moment, because that is the unconditional supported creation. However, we just don't realize that we're consciously or unconsciously creating a very, 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 very similar image over and 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 over again. We create the illusion of a slow process of change. We create everything, essentially. So what I'm empowering us to do, what I'm hinting at, what I'm inspired to express, is that change doesn't need to be short. Change can be quick, and change can be instantaneous. We just have to remember how to make this change, because change ultimately is already instantaneous if you really look at it in a clear light. We're just instantaneously manifesting billions of times per second very, 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 very similar realities, and we're identifying with those realities, which is really interesting, because when you identify with the physical reality, you're really identifying with the echo of your old vibrational essence. And then you get really slow, real slow in the eyes of creation, which could be fast to you. I guess it ultimately depends on your perspective. However, what I'm going for, what I'm inspired to act on, is fast, instantaneous, preferred, conscious creation, manifestation, experience, preference, unadulterated, no negative beliefs, pure expression, just you, here and now, boom, forever. Lucidity, essentially. I love how the song just came on. It's just synchronistic, right? Because as you begin to act on your intuitive guidance, you begin to see your reality begins to reflect to you synchronicities. It's like, as you act on your excitement, as you act on your inspiration, as you act on your highest joy, these higher vibratory realms of living in. Acting is your action. It's the way that you ground this realm into reality. Essentially speaking, whatever vibratory rate that you're resonating at, you're grounding that. You're grounding that. You're grounding that in each and every moment. So if you want to create a sense of empowerment for yourself, become aware of what vibrational frequency you are at right now. The worse you feel, the lower your vibrational frequency. The better you feel, the higher vibrational frequency, because this is the conduit that you created for yourself, which is supposed to be natural, in which you know whether or not you're in alignment with your true purpose. And how you know what your purpose is by following that inspiration, by acting through that guidance, by acting through that creative expression, by acting on that sincere, genuine, authentic joy. And then the more that you act on it, the more synchronistic life becomes, as in magic happens here, magic happens there, coincidence here, coincidence there. And you realize that, wait a minute, that's not coincidence. How in the world did that just happen? How in the world did this just happen? I am putting this out in the universe, all of a sudden this pops up, that pops up, this pops up. For example, I've been entraining a greater sense of abundance within myself, and as I've been doing this and acting from this place without allowing my physical mind to adulterate it by basing its context off of physical reality, which is you're basing off of the past essentially, versus allowing myself to say, hey, I'm gonna right here, right now, focus on the energy, because the energy is really what's manifesting. So focusing on the energy of wealth, focusing on the energy of richness, and allowing myself to expand and express that freely through my being without judging it. That's the big one. Because it's really funny how we work as humans. We want something. We sincerely want it, like wealth, conscious creation, freedom, empowerment, effortlessness, joy, and we have all of these innate desires that are already seeking to express itself through us. It's God expressing himself, herself, itself through us. Our higher power expressing itself through us. The sovereign, true, natural being that is seeking to express itself through us. Naturally. It's only us that stops this natural process from unfolding by insisting from an innocently arrogant place in which we believe that we know how reality works in a disempowering way. Right? Essentially, the greatest way that we can get around this, which, I mean, for me, I guess I took the long route because I really wanted to study the mechanisms of creation to really get this right, because I really wanted to gain a true, deep, embodied sense of mastery. Which I just realized is ridiculous, because whatever, I'm here now. That's what matters. And hindsight, learn from my experience, please. And my experience of this has been chasing this truth, this sincere clarity truth, through understanding through the human intellect how creation works. Which is a slow process, a very, very slow process, because you have to allow creation to work at your speed. However, this is a paradox, but listen closely to the balance and the wisdom here. When you allow yourself to empty yourself, when you allow yourself to enter a space of pure awareness in which you're free from all conditioned beliefs, it's like when you literally just wipe your slate clean and say, hey, I don't know shit. And that's just you being humble. You being truly, sincerely humble, saying, in the eyes of infinity, I don't know shit. And by embodying that truth, and by allowing, this is the key phrase, not forcing, allowing creation to flow through you, you will then begin to see the truth of existence, which is what I'm explaining all now. If you want me to get more into the structure of existence, I can get more into that in another video. However, let's just keep moving forward. So let's dedicate a portion of our consciousness, connect to another portion of our consciousness in which we've already completed our journey. This is what I'm seeking for. I'm seeking for true lucidity. I'm saying, screw this experience of process, because this is what I don't prefer. I know what I don't prefer because I just know. So it's ultimately just me allowing myself to experience whatever I want to experience, which for me personally, and this could be different for you, however, for me, it's true lucidity, true awareness, true life mastery, truly, I guess, becoming one with my essence, which this is a pretty, I guess what comes up for me is like a ballsy statement, or a bold statement. However, I've heard this truth for so long, I've just denied it for so long, and I'm getting the intuitive guidance to realize that I'm not here to deny my truth. Because truth is just natural expression. It'll keep tugging at you and pushing. It's like you're the one straitjacketing this true expression by saying, I know how life works. I want life to be this way. I insist on this. I insist on that. And you're straitjacketing this divine essence, this true, natural, supernatural expression that's holistically pure in the greatest sense, beyond all your conception, beyond anything you could presently perceive as perfection. Beyond that, it's bliss. I could spend all day attempting to linguistically interpret what this is, what this essence is. However, just get what I'm pointing at. It's greater than anything that any of us could ever conceive here, because we're just limited. And for me, stepping forth with my truth as a responsible creator, now just bear with me because this is me going through my process of challenge. Me allowing myself to surrender to my truth, which is the truth of me being a member of the Council of Light. You know, there's so many so many voices in my being which have so much doubts and so much just like, oh dude, how do you have the audacity to say that? How could you be that? Who could you do? Why? Like, you're not that great. How, like... And I'm here to share with all of us that this truth is truth, man. It's, you are who you are. You feel you are these things. You feel like you are these higher, whatever. You feel the way that you feel. You know who you are for a reason. You know who you are. It's just, there's a knowing, right? It transcends logic. It's primordial. It transcends space and time. It's just a knowing that you can't really like put your finger on, but it just exists within your being. And I'm here to remind you that that's far off distant planet in that remote sector of the cosmos that is within your awareness is you, if it's empowering. It's only our physical mind, rooted in a sense of limited perception and limitation and separation and negativity and fear, and low self-worth and low self-appreciation and low self-esteem. It's only coming from that place in which we say that we are not this true greatness that we are. Wow. And allowing myself to let go of that is really, it's really relieving, because this shit's heavy as, super heavy. So heavy. Oh my god. Yeah, and I understand that from physical reality's point of view, I'm just a kid, and I still got a lot to go through, and still do my best in each and every moment. I'm not perfect. I'm not anywhere near, at least physically, where I want to be. However, I'm not going to allow my circumstances limit me from being and embodying who I truly know I am. Oh, shit. Man. You just gotta let it go. Gotta let go of that old paradigm of negativity. You say that you're done. You truly say that you're done. You know you don't want it. The true testament is whether or not you're willing to act that way. Yes, I'm willing to act that way. I'm willing to embody that each and every moment, now and forever. Because this is who I choose to be. And creation will unconditionally support me. Synchronistically rhyming, because life is just natural. Yikes. Oh man, I just want to say, if you're even watching this right now, I just want to say thank you for sharing this experience with me. Like, I'm still transcending a lot of all of this baggage that you may be transcending as well, or maybe not. However, I just want to say thank you for sharing the space with me. Thank you for sharing this experience with me. Let's transcend a greater reality for ourselves and continue to move forward and continue to be better and continue to improve. I wonder how long this video has gone for. Maybe I should end it here. Let's just finalize what I was saying. So creates a parallel reality version for ourselves through the conduit of imagination, which conduit of imagination is just our way of attuning our antenna, because we're just essentially channels, channeling our being into existence, setting our channel, our antenna, changing that channel, changing that dial to our preference. And for me personally, it's just going straight to the top, man. Screw all of this means to this end, this required process. Screw all of that. Screw all of that limitation. Let's just say, dude, let's just have fun. Let's just experience. Let's just become lucid. Let's just consciously, responsibly create now in a harmonic, loving, light-based way in which we're all connected, and in which we're deeply connected with creation, because we realize that we're just creation, and everything in our reality we create and we support and we love because we love ourselves, and we understand that creation is a projection, an expression, an aspect of ourselves. True love coming from within, loving your internal being, then loving your external being after realizing that your external being is just a reflection of your internal being, which is all you in the end. Let's just become lucid now and just be able to, boom, like, be able to just magically express ourselves in the way that we were truly meant to. Because that's the nature of existence. That's the path of least resistance. This is how reality is in natural existence. Many of us don't realize that we're operating in a space that's unnatural. We're operating in a space that, I mean, and this is how collective conditioning has created created in us, by us, for us, responsibility. However, we chose to partake in this journey, so that's the important part to remember, that you chose to be here. You chose to experience everything that you're going through, whether you consciously remember that or not. You choose everything. So it's time to not live a disempowering reality and blaming everything, or just literally just like being mad at everything for the way that it is. Instead of doing that, let's take responsibility, appreciate everything for how it is, because that's coming to the understanding, the mature understanding that we created all of it, and then loving ourselves enough to forgive ourselves for creating something that we truly don't prefer, and empowering ourselves to create something different. Like, sheesh, keep it simple, keep it light, keep it like, fuck all that negativity, just go, just bye, just no more. That is not welcome within our space, that's not welcome within our being. Shed that, shed that, shed that. Negativity can be outside of me. Negativity has no room within my being, because I choose to be a sovereign conduit, to be a sacred, harmonious, composed, aligned space with an electromagnetic field in which transcends everything automatically through the most blissful, consciously preferred love and light. Finally attuned to my preference. This is conscious creation in the making, or this is essentially conscious attunement in the making, because really creation is already created. So when we experience the process of creation, it's just really an illusion. What's really happening is we're just attuning ourselves to another vibratory frequency to experience the experience of creation. However, let's just keep things simple and keep things mechanical by saying, I mean, we can color it all that we want, which is great, but for a greater sense of clarity, let's just remember that we're attuning ourselves to another frequency. Attune your antenna, change your channel to the frequency that you want to be on, and just keep it there. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Tune it, trust that it's there, and then let go. Allow the higher mind to do the reflection. Do your part. Your part was just, ultimately, your part is just the perceiver. That is the hardest part of creation in this physical reality, to my experience, from my perspective. is really understanding your part in creation from the physical mind, because we've been indoctrinated into believing that we are the higher, or the physical mind. We are the physical mind. We have, our collective consciousness has been indoctrinated to create that theme for itself. That's the theme. That we're separate from this higher realm. We're separate from this place, and we're just this physical conduit, which is essentially like a ghost from higher mind's perspective, which is a whole nother thing. However, and I don't say that to invoke fear, I just say that to be transparent. If you fear ghosts, then maybe you should reevaluate or evaluate your relationships with ghosts. From my perspective, a ghost is just a being that is very, 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 very distant from the truth of creation. It's like far off. I mean, this is pretty much what you imagine it to be, like far off in this barren wasteland, a ghost just floating through this barren wasteland of just nothingness, wandering through existence, wondering what it could be. I mean, to put it lightly, that's kind of what our experience here is. A lot of times when we're not conscious, we're just kind of ghosts going through the motions, going through the motions, going through the motions, because when you identify as the physical persona and you're not attuned with your emotional well-being, your emotional center, then this is kind of a product of what can happen. You just go through the motions, just being really desensitized to how you feel, because I get it, dude. I get it. Like, life lets you down, life this, life that. Like, it happens. It happened to me. It happened to me for years. We all have our process to transcend. We all have our experiences to go through. However, I'm just saying right now, like, you can choose to just end that process right here and right now. And by saying, I'm done experiencing life as a ghost. I'm done being a shell of who I truly could be. I'm done being a fragment of my potential. I'm done settling for less than I deserve. That's the big one, man. It's like a famous guy once said, well-renowned man once said, the problem isn't that we shoot too high and miss. It's that we aim too low and we hit. Man. Gotta let go of that fear. Fear keeps you in that place of darkness, man. And like, my intuitive guidance to share with you is just act on your excitement. That's the mechanics of how reality's supposed to work. That's you really honoring your higher self, your higher guidance, by saying, hey, I'm willing to act on what you want me to do. How you want to, it's really just you. It's you speaking to yourself. It's really weird. It's, I guess weird maybe not be the best analogy. It's very strange without negative context. Just in a pure positive light, it's very different. Because we forget what our role is. And when the physical mind begins to take on more roles than it's supposed to, which is like thinking that it needs to play God, play the God of your life, which essentially you do play God, but like when, okay, let me put it this way. When the physical mind begins to take on the power of the higher mind, things really get slowed down. And things get super slow when the physical mind doesn't believe in the higher mind, or doesn't allow the higher mind to bestow grace upon the physical mind. And the physical mind acts from a place of, now I say this from experience because I used to be here, to operate from a space in which you ultimately think you need to be the one responsible for every single detail, every single aspect of your life, without grace. And that's a very, like, it can trick itself as being like honorable and like sincere. I guess it could be whatever you want it to be. You just gotta ask yourself if that's something you really want to do, really want to be. And I can just say from experience of going through those years of trial and error and failure and grit and creating resilience and emotional toughness and doing all of that, and like creating, cultivating this, I guess, an unnatural sense of strength, a sense of egoic strength within myself, which is very primal, is very, it's a very long, tedious process of disempowerment, really, because really it's just fueled from disempowerment. because it's actually, if you look at the mechanics of what's happening, it's fueled from a place of depreciative self-worth. It's saying that I'm not enough right now, so I got to do all this to become worth more. And then when you get that, you got to say, I want to be more. Which, I'm not saying wanting more is bad, because wanting more, being more, is the natural experience of existence. However, what I'm inspiring you to do is really tap into the natural truth of existence and to use that in an empowering way. If you don't want to, that's fine too. You, more power to you. But I'm all about efficiency. I'm all about true empowerment. All about bliss, ecstasy, love, light, and conscious creation. So let's stay in that realm. Forget the past. We don't need to identify with it anymore. We can love it for showing us this graceful experience by ultimately showing us that, wow, that's really what we don't prefer. So let's choose what we do prefer. Boom, keep it simple. So my guidance to you and to everybody and to myself is to allow yourself to act on that highest excitement, to act on that intuitive guidance, to act on that act from a high vibrational frequency place, because as you act from that place, you create a better state of being for yourself. You create a better life for yourself, essentially, keeping it simple. I understand my vibration has dipped. I think I'm gonna end the video here, and I'm gonna meditate. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for bearing with me through this. Highs and lows and highs and lows and highs and lows. I don't prefer the lows, obviously, but they're happening. So they're happening for a reason. That's why I need to meditate. I got to take a deeper look at what's happening within my being. Cultivate this sovereign space so I can share more, be more, and create more. I love you guys. Let's create a greater world. Freedom, fun, fulfillment, lucidity, joy, miracles, natural expressions, blessings, gratitude, infinity, in the making. Let's go get it. I will catch you guys later. Thank you.